Hey again everybody, welcome back to POPI 101, your compliance channel. I hope these don't get pointy. Anyways, thought I'd change the scene a little bit. My face gets boring, I'm sure. So last time we explained that all processing of personal information has to follow 8 very specific conditions or principles in order to comply. If you missed that video, click it here. We explained what processing of information means and gave you a few examples. Because these 8 principles are very important, we are going to be splitting them into a separate video for themselves. The very first one, which we will talk about today, is accountability. What is accountability? It means consequences for actions and taking the responsibility of claiming said consequence. In terms of POPI, the responsible party, or referred to as the controller in the GDPR, which is the Europe regulation, is accountable for everything they do with personal information that is in their possession or under their control. So if an organization or business has personal information that has to do with employees, suppliers or customers, then by default, the MD, CEO or head of organization is the responsible party in control. And they will, under the POPI Act, have to make sure that this information is complied with and that a proper security management system is put into place. Now that is a lot of responsibility. Where do they find the time? Imagine you're running a company with 40,000 employees. Imagine you're running a company with 40,000 customers, 40,000 suppliers. It all applies to these companies. But not to worry, POPI provides for a very important person that will take on these responsibilities.
Hello everybody. So as we've already seen, the responsible party handling any personal information belonging to someone else is accountable for its protection. The responsible party determines the purpose, the means, and the processing of the personal information itself, and must also ensure that the conditions and all the measures are complied with at all times in relation to the processing of personal information. That relates to personal information in its possession as well as under its control, which means if it's outsourced, their accountability is still with the responsible party. But I'll discuss that more at a later stage. It's a tall order, as you can understand, and an organization or a business dealing with lots of personal information certainly must have their ducks in a row. So the Act provides for a very specific appointment of someone in an organization who will take on the duties and responsibilities around the protection of personal information within that organization. And that will be the information officer, who must be a person who has the necessary authority to ensure compliance with the Act. If no information officer is formally appointed within the organization, then, as Warren has also mentioned, the head of the organization will by default be the information officer, and of course then the person in the hot seat. The qualifications that an information officer must have or should have are not specified, but as you will see, the person has great responsibilities, and it will have to be someone that's on a fairly senior managerial level and who must know and understand the organization as a whole very well. It's also, in terms of the Act, the information officer must be formally registered with the Office of the Information Regulator and will also be the liaison between the organization and the regulator in case of any complaints or data breaches. But the information officer can also appoint deputy information officers to assist with all of these duties. The main duties of the information officer is basically to ensure compliance with POPI and to encourage compliance with POPI in terms of the Act. In order for them to do this, they must determine, first of all, what is necessary for the establishment or the enhancement of an information security management system in the organization. and then must see to its implementation and ultimately to monitor it. As regards the specific duties of the information officer, the regulator has published towards the end of 2018 regulations that set out these duties of the information officer in a bit more detail. What it first of all include is that the information officer must conduct as a start a preliminary sort of audit exercise, or call it an impact assessment or a gap analysis, to understand what personal information the organization handles and how they handle it. The sort of the information flow inside of the organization. Then, in response to this risk assessment, the information officer must then see to the development and the implementation of this compliance framework in order to respond and address these risks, and then also to monitor it going forward. This will also include that the information officer must see to it that adequate measures and standards exist, either be it physical security or technological measures or operational measures, in order to comply with the various conditions in the Act for the lawful processing of personal information. The information must also develop internal measures and systems for the processing of requests to access of information. That is either from data subjects themselves, who have the right to access their information to check whether it's correct or to rectify it, or from third parties in terms of the Promotion of Access to Information Act. I'll speak about that a bit later. Then a very important duty of the information officer is to make people in the organization aware of what POPI is all about, and to conduct internal awareness sessions or training to explain the provisions of the Act and the regulations, but also any new sort of policies and protocols that needs to be put in place, and that's part of the security system, so that everyone is on board in the organization, everyone knows what is required from them. And then also, again, referring to the Promotion of Access to Information Act, the POPIA manual, that's not a new thing. It's existed before, but it now also falls within the sort of POPI environment. And that's also one of the duties of the information officer, to develop this manual for people from outside who wants to access the information of the organization. So there's quite a bit to do, and there's a lot to learn, because POPI is new to all of us. But if you listen to all of this and you by any chance still wonder why you should bother with all of this, our next video will highlight the consequences of non-compliance and all the various enforcement mechanisms. And it will be a good idea to have a look. So see you next time, and as always, keep watching our POPI Bites. Back to Warren.
Thank you, Judith. To close off this video, we can actually provide you systems and software that will assist your information manager of choice in making those right decisions and alleviating just a tad to allow that person to sleep at night. As we said, the consequences are quite severe should one not be compliant. We offer a service called Chief Information Officer as a Service, which means everything gets set up for you. You receive the reports. If you would like to automate that process, unfortunately accountability still falls under you, but it does make it easier to implement the correct process. Anyways guys, yet again, I hope you guys are enjoying these videos. We would love a subscribe, we would love a like if you enjoyed this. Even if you didn't, give us a dislike, tell us why. We're very interested to hear. And if you want to have a chat, if you want to go for a coffee, if you want to go for a drink, if you want to go to a vegan restaurant, whatever suits your floats your boat, we're more than happy to meet you. Or even if you would like to just meet because, you know, this face. Just kidding. More than happy to. All the details are below in the description and in the channel. Anyways, guys, check you soon. Keep well, and bye for now.